So, let's dive into one of the biggest, oldest questions in philosophy, and we're going to be looking at it through the lens of Raheel Farooq's work. It's all about a classic argument, but with a twist that might completely change how you think about the whole thing.
You've heard this one before, right? It's the classic question that just stops the conversation in its tracks. It feels like the ultimate logical checkmate, A paradox that doesn't seem to have any way out. And honestly, most of the time, it just shuts the whole discussion down. But here's where the author, Raheel Farooq, suggests the real problem starts. He basically argues that both sides get so caught up in the heat of the moment that it stops being about a search for truth. It becomes more about emotion than logic. And when that happens, the words we use start to lose their real meaning. All right, first, let's walk through how this argument usually goes down. It's a setup you've probably heard a dozen times. And yeah, on the surface, it seems to make perfect sense. The argument starts off pretty simple. Premise 1, everything that exists was made by someone. Premise 2, the universe exists. And the conclusion? Therefore, the universe must have a maker. Seems like a pretty straightforward piece of logic. And here it is, the immediate comeback. It takes that very first rule that everything needs a maker and just turns it right back around. I mean, if the rule applies to everything, it has to apply to the creator too, doesn't it?
And that's how you end up going down this crazy rabbit hole. A maker needing a maker who needs a maker who needs another one. On and on forever. This infinite loop, it doesn't actually solve anything. It just keeps pushing the question back and back, which kind of makes the whole argument feel pointless.
But hang on. This is where things get really interesting. Farooq suggests that maybe we're all getting stuck in this loop because we're looking at the wrong part of the argument. What if the real mistake, the real misunderstanding, is in that very first assumption we all made? So this is where we get a major shift. The author asks us to completely rethink what we even mean when we say we make something. The idea here isn't to find a new answer, but to ask a much better question by first getting our definitions straight. And this right here is the author's central claim, and it's a big one. He's saying that what we humans call making or creating, it's not actually creation at all. We never make something out of absolutely nothing. We're just rearranging the stuff that's already here. The author gives this really simple example. Think about making a cup of tea. Are you a creator? Well, no, you're more of a manipulator. You didn't create the water, you didn't create the tea leaves, or the heat to boil the water. All those things already existed. All you did was combine them and reshape them into something new. And this brings us to a really crucial distinction. A creator is someone who makes something from nothing. A manipulator, and this is what we are, is someone who just reshapes what's already on the table. Once you see that difference, the entire argument starts to look very, very different. So think about it. If we accept that humans are just manipulators, then that original premise, everything is made by someone, is actually false, based on our own experience. We don't truly make anything, not in that ultimate sense. And just like that, the foundation of the whole argument, it just crumbles. Okay, so with that old idea out of the way, we can actually rebuild the whole thing from the ground up. We can move away from that endless chain of makers and toward a completely different idea.
See, the classic argument talks about a first cause, like the very first domino that starts a long chain reaction. But Farooq says, no, let's replace that with the idea of an only cause. This isn't the start of the chain. It's the single source for everything. Every other cause we think we see is actually just an effect of that one true source.
So let's put the new logic together. We start with the idea that we humans only manipulate. We don't create. From there, it follows that all the causes we see around us are really just effects of some earlier cause. So a true cause, by definition, can't be caused by anything else. And that leads to a totally new conclusion. Everything in existence is just an effect that flows from a single, uncaused cause.
And this brings us to the author's incredibly powerful conclusion. In this framework, God isn't the first link in some long, complicated chain. Instead, God is the singular source of existence itself. Everything else we see, everything we experience, it's all just an effect of that one uncaused reality.
So you see, by reframing the whole debate around manipulating versus true creating, the question itself completely transforms. It's no longer who made the maker. The real question, the much deeper question, becomes, if all we ever do is just rearrange the pieces, where did all the pieces, where did existence itself come from in the first place?